Hey, it's day 29 and today's been a long day. We came out yesterday from the motel and we did about 8 miles, and I've just done almost like 9 miles today. The train's been really boring today, kind of a bit spooky. We spent most of the morning walking through a stream where the path had kind of just turned into a stream, with like a lot of sandy kind of boggy bits. And then in the afternoon we've been walking through this kind of like spooky prescribed burn part of the forest. So if anyone's watched True Detective, that's what it kind of reminds me of, with all these kind of sort of twiggy kind of bracken type trees. So yeah, it doesn't feel like there's anything alive in here at all, except us and a few other hikers that we've seen today. Yeah, so I'll just share that with you. Sometimes it's not all apocalypse now. Sometimes it's a bit True Detective. It's day 33, Sunday, Easter Sunday. So I hope you're all enjoying lots of chocolate this weekend. We came out of Port Clinton, which was a few days off to resupply at Cabela's. I got my hiker meals, very excited about that. And then we got a lift, actually, to Port Clinton by a hiker that we met on the trail called Tadar, and he kindly gave us a lift into Port Clinton. And then when we were in Walmart's getting a few bits, Esther met another hiker who gave us a lift back into town. So I needed to post something and had missed the post office by 47 minutes, and then managed to, like, was asking a guy where the barber's shop was, because I'd been told that at the barber's there was a bunch of old men who loved to help out hikers, if they could post my package on Monday if I gave them some dollarage. And he just said, "Oh no, I'll do it, and I don't want your money." So I'd already put 4 stamps on it, so that was like $4 worth of stamps, but I've no idea how much it was, but that was so kind of him. Yeah, the kindness of strangers, eh? Anyway, we've walked up, we stayed in Windsor Furnace Shelter last night, where we caught up with Slowpoke again, and then we've walked up a massive hill this morning to Pulpit Rock. And I've just discovered this in the woods, which is like a little bit weird. Not quite sure if it's some kind of space dome thing or... So this is it, really, which is kind of lots of potential domey looking things. It kind of implies some sort of kind of star gazing thing. But then the green lawn, I'm thinking that looks like a well kept mowed lawn. So yeah, not sure about that. Anyway, the most important thing about this is the privy, which is just here. So I've just come around the corner. I'm actually at the pinnacle, which I'll show you in a second, and seen this massive snake, which is similar to the one I saw the other day. And it did move a little bit, so it's definitely alive. I'm not massively wanting to poke it, although I will just poke that to see if it moves. There's a bit of snake torture. Yes. So I'm going to back off now. And this is the pinnacle, which is basically a heap of rocks where it's traditional for a hiker to bring a rock and throw it at the top. So there is actually a little plaque at the top that says "In memory of Scott Jones," just up there. I've just arrived at the Eckville shelter, and it's essentially almost someone's private property, someone's back garden. That's the caretaker's house there, and there's a road sort of in between, and this is the tenting area that he's devised. So it's absolutely beautiful. Like, there's a lovely smell of flowers. I don't know whether they're violets. There's lots of violets and things about. But yeah, it's just like someone's perfect back garden. At the back of the house, he's got like a wooden building that he's actually turned into a shelter, and I think there's bunks for about 6 people in there, and then there's a privy and a solar shower as well, which is great. But these are the violets I was telling you about there, and they're just everywhere, like in little nooks and crannies. Absolutely beautiful scent of them. So this is going to be our home tonight. Morning folks, it's day 34, Easter Monday, 22nd of April. Go me. I've just arrived here at Dan's pulpit, which is an absolutely stunning view. It was a massive climb up, as you can see. Pretty much climbed up from the bottom, where we'd stayed in the Eckville shelter last night, which was actually owned by the AT. I said yesterday that it was a guy being very generous, but it's well looked after. So I was corrected by Slowpoke this morning. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to show you is this. Not all of the viewpoints have it, but this one does. Obviously it's called Dan's Pulpit. And I'm guessing this was nailed to the tree in 1997. So what have we in here? Normally in places like this you have a logbook. Sometimes you get one of these in the shelters, not all the shelters. But what is actually quite good about it, if I can open it with one hand, is that you can write in it. See, I've written in it today, and yeah, I always get the date wrong. They do it the other way around here. But what's really good is that I can read back and see that Aiken was passing through. Nobo means northbound, Lash means long-arsed section hike, so he's completing his. And it was raining, so he came through yesterday. So that was the guy that we stayed with in, for God's sake, Port Clinton. And then I'm looking back to see if I recognise anyone else, and sure enough, there's my old mate Ferrell. So he was here on the 10th, so that just means that he didn't get off the trail with his knee injury, which I'm really pleased about. I've looked for Zorro, can't find Zorro, so he may not have signed it. And I think I saw Villain was here. Yeah, there we are. So Villain was here friggin' ages ago on the 8th, so that's how fast he's going. Yeah, and he did keep it moving. So that's what the logbook tells you. So it's kind of great when you know these people to just browse. So the woods are definitely greening up quite a lot. There's lots of these, which I kind of think is some kind of bluebell. Or lily maybe, and lots of these little green kind of things that I desperately want to believe are lily of the valley, because they just stand up on a single stem. Some of them I've seen have got like a little white flower, just one Statham in the middle, but there's just hundreds of those, and if they were lily of the valley, this woods would smell absolutely stunning in about a month. So I'm clinging to that. Anomaly we've got, which we're not quite certain of, is these poison ivy. The thing is, leaves of 3, let it be. So we keep seeing this, which has got leaves of 3. I've asked about 4 or 5 different hikers that have gone through, and they haven't. Two people said, oh yeah, that looks like poison ivy, but I'm not overly convinced. But everyone just sort of said, oh, if it's got leaves of 3, leave it be, which is what we're doing. This has actually got sort of a brown stem. It's also got like little briars on it, like little kind of rose thorns, on the bigger ones, and technically poison ivy doesn't have that, but it is a vine, it does grow up trees, and we've seen it bushy and quite high, but there's just so much of it, it just leads me to believe if it was poison ivy, everyone would know about it, because it is all over the path, all over the campsite. So I'm kind of wondering if it's like a wild raspberry or blackberry, that kind of thing, but that's the next thing for investigation. Morning, it's day 35, and I've just headed out of the Allentown hiking shelter where we spent a fabulous night. It's a really well kept shelter. There was a bit of a disturbance in the evening when some ATV vehicles came up, which sounded a bit like tanks, but it turned out to be just the search and rescue practicing, so God knows how they made it over those terrain, but they did. But it's good to know that they're out there practicing to rescue us. So anyway, this is my view currently, which is rather lovely. It's super hot today as well, it's about 27 degrees, so we started off early and we're hoping to get to the shelter by early afternoon, because the hottest part of the day is about 4-5 o'clock, so hopefully we'll be set up and a bit cooler by then. Hi, so I'm on the Lehigh River, just crossing over, and I'm going to show you what in theory we should be doing tomorrow. That's up there. Which, just so you know, we'll be taking the winter route. Hi, it's day 37, and we have just left Wind Gap. I had a shower last night, which is excellent, so hence I can actually take my hat off. Otherwise I'm convinced I'm going to get like I'm going to be white from the forehead up, so that's quite good. Yeah, so we're slack packing in reverse for the next couple of days. We got into the George W. Outbridge shelter, I think it was called, just before Palmerton. I got there about sort of 12 o'clock yesterday, and it kind of seemed pointless just to stay there overnight, so I kind of decided that it'd be a good idea to walk into Palmerton, Uber ourselves further up, about 25 miles up the trail, and then we can slack pack back. Can't remember if I've said this, but the reason for this is that there's zinc mines up here, so there's a stretch of about 25 miles that doesn't have any water at all. There's one spring that's clearly marked use in emergencies only, so we didn't like the idea of that, so clearly we can't do 25 miles in a stretch carrying like 8 litres of water, so because we kind of need 4 litres per day is what we're sort of averaging. Yeah, so we kind of thought if we slack pack and do it in reverse, then we've only got to carry 1 day's water. We don't have to drink zinc water, and that was kind of confirmed by our Uber driver yesterday, who said she grew up in Palmerton, and when she was a kid there was nothing at all would grow in the fields, like not even trees. So she thinks the trees are starting to grow back now, but they got themselves a nickname out of being called zinc babies. So yeah, I'm kind of quite pleased we made that decision. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the fact that David Stanley Mark II here probably weighs about 10 pounds today rather than the 30-40 pounds that I'm usually carrying. So seriously enjoyable day, hoping to do about 15 miles, and yeah, really looking forward to it. We're going to Uber ourselves back to the hotel tonight and then go back to where we started tomorrow, and then we've got I think it's about 6 or 7 miles back into Palmerton, but that will be over Lehigh Gap, which in theory is marked as the hardest mile of the entire AT, so that's another reason we didn't want to kind of do that with no water. It's really hot, so lovely hot and sunny day today, and yeah, really enjoying it. It's the evening, I suppose, or I'd like to say afternoon, but actually it's gone 6 of our first slack packing day. So I've done about just coming up to 15 miles. I've got about 0.6 miles to go, and I just put this on because the terrain has changed massively, so it's a little bit spooky. I've just come out of pine woods, and I don't know if you can see it on here. I'm like, there's kind of a bit of a weird dirt road and lots of kind of silver birch. which is definitely something I've not seen before. So that does look very different. You can kind of sort of see through the trees. It's not a bad view, but the sky is definitely getting dark, and it's probably a bit too late to kind of be out really. And this is my terrain for the next 0.6 miles. It's always a bad sign when they start painting the signs on the rocks. You know that it's gonna come up quite badly. So I need to put the camera down because I have to negotiate this. So 0.6 miles to go. Morning. Yes, so I've just come up Lehigh Gap. Yesterday I kind of had decided that I really wanted to do the actual proper route, which is supposed to be the hardest mile on the AT. We did 15 miles yesterday, I think 15 point something or other miles yesterday, so I was a bit tired, but I kind of like met a couple of people who said it wasn't that bad. It was like they'd both done it in 50 minutes. Needed good leg strength, which I've got. Didn't really need upper body strength, but you had to balance over the 10-foot rocks, but you didn't actually have to pull yourself up. So I was all set to do that, and then kind of got up this morning when we arrived at the trail. It was torrential rain, which is a real pain. Very misty, and there was hail, so really disappointed, but I decided not to do it and just do the winter trail, which we'd kind of originally planned on doing. We did it uphill, not downhill, because I kind of thought that would be like way easier. Anyway, I need to speed up because I think it's about to rain again. At the moment I'm stood in a cloud. There should be a fabulous view over there, but unfortunately there isn't. But what I wanted to quickly show you, if I can go down here, which I'm really quite excited about. You know, I get excited about my flowers. But I've just been walking up this path, and there's loads and loads of wild Dicentra. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a perennial that you get in the UK, and it's called bleeding heart because of the shape of the flowers. But yeah, it's growing wild absolutely everywhere. Beautiful. So that's what I've been looking at this morning on the way up.